The Hisense U8K or the Hisense U8H, which one should you get and why? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, and spoiler alert, the Hisense U8K. That is as fast as anyone is going to be willing to tell you. So smack a like on this video and subscribe if you love transparency. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper by talking about brightness. Now the brightness on the Hisense U8H from last year is very good, well exceeds the numbers, and honestly, I have no complaints. It's honestly brighter than this year's TV from all of my measurements. Now, that's not to say that that's a good thing in terms of you do still run into occasional blooming on the most advanced kind of geometry that, again, in English, could trip up dark room experiences. Now, the promise of the U8K was that it'd be the king of mini LEDs and all of mini LED, really. I can say in terms of black level, it definitely lived up to that. You probably aren't finding anything better than this, even if you start spending upwards of $4 or $5 grand. It's a damn good TV in a dark room. Now, what I mean by that is there isn't even the faintest flicker of bloom whatsoever, and that is a massive benefit for every single fan of this technology. Because what it means is we don't have to sit at a disadvantage on these sets. We can sit in the ultimate position of power, just kind of enjoying ourselves to our heart's content, really. And I love that, right? Because that means that we now have the control. So in terms of motion is about the same between the U8K and the U8H. No real improvements there. But the big improvement where the U8K becomes the better TV is you have this year color spaces. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't tune your TV very much, you won't really see the immediate value of this. But if you even start messing around a little bit and start educating yourself on it even mildly, you'll start to see that you have control over your colors in a way that just isn't possible on the U8H. Now, that's not where the party stops. This year, AI kind of takes hold of the television in the way of its super resolution feature. That super resolution feature, which I'll just go ahead and show you now because it's freaking awesome, has the ability to, with AI in real time, see things that are amazing. And one of those things is edge enhancement. The edge enhancement on this TV is super good. And it allows you to be able to create some absolutely three-dimensional imagery that just wouldn't be possible without that feature on. I've toggled it on and off and seen the difference. It can lead to some over-sharpening on some images and on some really grainy content pieces, but nothing that MPEG noise reduction or regular noise reduction can't fix. Now, in terms of gradients, the gradients are overall pretty smooth. Now, that can be attributed to the fact that this is an 8-bit panel. However, on the negative side, this is an 8-bit panel. This is not a 10-bit panel. You can see it pretty much all the time is what it is. So even though it's BT 2020, it's not 10-bit. And I think that's a really odd choice. Now, to be honest with you, I've compared this with the 10-bit panel, and it's not really that big of a deal and definitely not as noticeable as I thought it would be. So maybe there's something to be said about that. But what I can say is, in terms of the overall picture quality and aesthetic and performance, comparatively to the U8K, you are going to have an upgraded experience. Now, if the price points are just so ridiculously different, then just buy last year's model, because that makes the most financial sense for a picture that's very similar that does a lot of the job. I mean, again, and it's brighter, which does hold value. Though, if you want something that's just a little bit better, and by a little bit, I really do mean a little bit, it's not going to break, any kind of foundations anytime soon with something brand new, but it is giving you enough of a newity that it's a fresh take on something that really was already good. But where Hisense is really still messing up, their motion is really getting bad. Like, it's not anywhere where it was back in the days of the Hisense H9F era, where they came out with super slick motion that had me just completely flabbergasted that a budget TV brand at the time could do anything like that. Now, Hisense has long since broke the budget brand mold, and now they're kind of leaning more into high-end territory and beyond that with the level of performance for sure that you get, especially when you factor in the price point. It's literally like a no-brainer 9 times out of 10. But again, they've got to fix the problems that are at hand, and hopefully they can do so. But if you find yourself between two models, or even if you find yourself stuck between something like the TCL QM8 or maybe the TCL Q7, and you don't really know what to do because the U8K is a strong contender, buy the U8K because it's an excellent television. It truly is, if you want black levels. If you don't want to see that ugly clouding, that ugly blooming, that ugly hazing, this is the TV to get. And it's still a really bright TV, and unlike the other TVs, they put the highlights where they belong. So they don't just put highlights out just to put them out. They put them where the things are illuminated. And I think that's the more appropriate approach anyway, and I would rather that. Now, also speaking about color, I mentioned this in a prior video, it is more colorful than the TCL series of television. So if that was something that you were concerned with, well, there you go. And then this year, of course, the speakers are way better than what you're going to have on the Hisense U8H from last year. So the speakers really do knock and they really do kick with that new subwoofer. It's amazing. I love it. Fantastic stuff. Again, all in all, they are very similar. This year, though, I really don't like the design of the feet. I think it's very cheap, very entry level. That's my personal opinion, though. Everybody has theirs, and we're going to arrive at different conclusions, I suppose. But the one thing that we can all probably universally agree on is that Hisense is making big waves in the television industry, and they're going to continue to do so. And I think this is a step forward in the right direction while still holding on to some issues that maybe they need to fix. And if they can ever fix those issues, resolve those problems, oh my God, are we in for a treat? But that being said, I would love to hear what you think about these TVs down below, and let's start a dialogue. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and subscribe if you want more content like this. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.